So this is the 9.6a worksheet. Most of us have done the beginning part of this together, but let's just go back over it. First one, when you factor a cube, you want to replace everything with something to the third power. So we don't have to change the x. We just have to change 27 into 3 to the third. Then as soon as you do that, take away the cubes. That's your first parenthesis. We have 3 spots to fill in the second one. Square the first to get the first. Square the last to get the last. Multiply them together to get the middle. There's one minus sign, so if this is plus, it goes plus, minus, plus. I'm hoping that you're starting to connect that this times this has to make 3x squared. So that's 3x and 1x. Whatever you put at the end here, these two, first of all, have to multiply to get 10. So that's either 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. We need to get up to 17. We're going to add to get 17. This number, though, will get multiplied times the 3x. So we're going to put the 5 in this spot and the 2 here, because 3 times 5 is 15x and 2x. That's how we get our 17. Now to get negative 17, negative, negative. Number 3, you need to look for the GCF. 5. Divide each piece by 5. But we're still left with a square. And this pattern is still the difference of 2 squares, because 25 is also a perfect square. So bring down your GCF. Split apart x squared, x and x, plus 5, minus 5. For these, you're just plugging in one value for each problem. Does this number make this whole equation true? The answer to every equation are the answers that make the equation true. What they're wondering is this a solution? So we just plug this in. We're going to plug 5 in for every x that you see in the problem. 1 over 5 minus 3, 1 over 5 plus 8, 1 over 5 squared minus 9. Well, 5 minus 3 is 2. Oh, I already added, sorry. 5 plus 3 is 8. 5 squared is 25 minus 9, 16. Now I need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply by 4. And I can reduce, because this is 2 times 5, 2 times 8. The 2's cancel. So is 4/8 plus 1/8 equal to 5/8? Yes. 5 is a solution to this equation because it makes the equation true. Now I'm going to plug 4 in for every x. And here's where we run into problems. 4 cannot be a solution because it causes us to divide by 0, and we can't do that. So no, 4 is not a solution to the problem. Okay, so we now have 4 problems where we have to use our least common denominator. So the first thing I always do look for the excluded values. What value for x would cause a 0 to be in the denominator? If x were 2, that would mean 0's in the denominator. So this says here, x cannot be 2, because that would cause a 0 in the bottom. After you state your excluded values, we're just going to multiply by the common denominator, and that's just x minus 2. This is what we see. X minus 2 is what I want to cancel. So I multiply through the entire equation by x minus 2. This x minus 2 cancels this x minus 2, and we just have 3x. Nothing cancels here, so I take 1 times x minus 2, which is x minus 2. These cancel, and I'm left with 6. This equation is a whole lot easier to solve. I can just combine my like terms. Then I'm going to move the x over to the other side by subtracting it. Divide by 2. All right, so here's the problem. The only answer that I can get through this is positive 2, but that's my excluded value, which I can't use. So this one is no solution. All right, number 7. First, I'm going to factor x plus 2, x minus 2. And I need to list my excluded values. So just think about it. Let's look at each denominator. What would make the first denominator equal 0? Positive 2, so that means that x cannot equal positive 2. What would cause us to have 0 in this denominator? Negative 2. So I need to list those two values, and these are just the same. So these are the two answers we can't use. So then I need to multiply by the least common denominator. So I multiply everything by x plus 2 and x minus 2. Because I need to cancel both of them over here, that's why I multiply each piece by that common denominator. It kind of gets a little squished in here, so sorry for not giving you enough space on your worksheet. The x minus 2 cancels, but I'm still left with 3x times x plus 2. This is what's left. Multiply everything that's left over. Plus, the x plus 2 cancels. Well, 1 times x minus 2 is just x minus 2. All of the denominator cancels here. Be careful because there's a minus there. Put that with the 4. So everything canceled here except for the 4. Now I'm going to distribute. Combine like terms. And I'm also just going to add this 4 over here to put everything on the same side. So 3x squared is 3x and x. Now remember, when I use this 2, I can only use 2 and 1, but whatever I put here, this will get multiplied times the 3. So in order to get up to 7, I'm going to put my 2 here and my 1 here, because that gives me 1x and 6x to get 7 total. Then if it's plus, I need a plus and a plus. All right, so what makes 3x plus 1 equal 0? Just solve for x. X equals 1/3, and that is not one of my excluded values, so that's an answer. what makes this equal 0? -2. But notice that's one of my excluded values, so I have to cross that out, and the only solution for this equation is -1/3. All right. First thing I'm going to do is factor the denominator. 2x plus 5, 2x minus 5. So what makes each denominator equal 0? Notice these just kind of double up. So what makes 2x plus 5? This cannot equal 0 because that's in the denominator. So I'm going to subtract 5, divide by 2. So x cannot equal -5/2. Then we also have to look at 2x minus 5 cannot equal 0. So solve for x. So my two excluded values are -5/2 and 5/2. Those are the two answers we can't use. All right, now I need to multiply by the least common denominator. So I need a 2x plus 5 for each one and a 2x minus 5. So all of these cancel this. The minus 5's cancel here. The plus 5 cancels here. What are we left with? 2 times 2x minus 5 plus 3 times 2x plus 5 equals, the only thing left here is 5x plus 5. All right, so distribute. Combine like terms. Get your x's on the same side. Subtract 5. Now be careful here. We can take 0 divided by a number. We just can't divide by 0. So actually, the answer we get is just x equals 0. And that is not one of my excluded values, so that's my final answer. All right, one more like this one. The next 4 are a lot easier. Factor. So my excluded values, what would make 2x plus 3? It can't be 0. So minus 3 divided by 2. X cannot equal -3/2 because that would create a 0 in the denominator. Notice that this just changes the sign, so I can just say it can't be -3/2 and it can't be +3/2. So these are the two values we can't use. All right, multiply everything through by the common denominator. The 2x plus 3 cancels. Here the 2x minus 3 cancels. And here everything cancels. Now I'm left with 5 times 2x minus 3 plus 4 times 2x plus 3 equals 14x plus 3, because this is all that's left here. Distribute. Combine like terms. Get your x's on the same side. Add 3. Be careful here. When you reduce 6 over 4, divide by 2, what do you notice? It's the same. So this is an excluded value. So there's no solution that makes this one true. All right.
Please excuse the interruption. Good morning, Trojans, and happy Thursday. Here are your daily reminders.
These are the two values that we cannot use because they make this 0 and this 0.
What to wear and what not to wear. And speaking of what to wear, please remember to bring your mask with you every day. The ones that are provided to you from the office are reusable. You can wash them. It's important that you have your mask and wear it during the whole school day, covering both your mouth and nose. Make it a habit to have your mask, just like you make it a habit to grab your cell phone before you leave the house. And please check your school emails daily.
And it doesn't match the excluded value.
Here's a way where you can comply to the rules and also show off your sense of fashion. On today, the yearbook class will be taking pictures of those students in colorful, fashionable masks for a cameo in the yearbook. Show off your best smile through your mask. Picture retake day will be on Monday, November 16th. Interested in signing up for IJAC for the second semester, please see Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Bennett in room 206 or catch them in the lunchroom next week on the 19th and the 20th. Also, IJAC will be hosting a winter accessory clothing drive for Friends of the Family Shelter. Hat, scarves, gloves, and socks can be donated until December 4th. And please bring your donations to room 206.
So these are both.
This week, the boys basketball team will be in the Commons during all 3 lunch shifts selling shirts for their fundraiser. The t-shirts are $20 each and due to a generous donation to the boys basketball t-shirt fundraiser. For this week only, the t-shirts for students will cost $10. That's right, $10 for students only. So you better catch this deal while it's hot. Boys basketball practice begins on Monday at 3 p.m. for all squads. Great thoughts speak only to the thoughtful mind, but great
this is a special one, difference of 2 squares.
Do what you do so well that others will want to see it again and bring their friends. Exemplify your children's pride on this Thursday, and as always, go Trojans!
And neither one of these are excluded, so these are our final 2 answers. All right, the last one, excluded value is 0. Cross multiply. I gotta move everything to the left side. So then we have to add 25x, G, C, F, x equals 0. Oops. X equals -5, but 0 is excluded, so our only answer is -5.